Hey everybody. First off, I want to thank Tide Wee for paying for the show. If you need a pair of boots, a pair of waders, a new backpack, some hunting rain gear, look them up. They got some good stuff. You know, a lot of people think that because I hunt around here that this southeastern Wisconsin area is a really great place to hunt public land. And that's not completely true. There's a lot of pressure here. We're right between Milwaukee and Madison. We got other big cities like Oconomowoc, Fort Atkinson, Jefferson, all these places, Watertown, all around here that have tons of people and tons of hunters, and they all flood these public lands. Now with that said, the area has really good genetics and has pretty big bucks, but most of them live on private land. It's hard to get on deer on public land because of the pressure. So when I get a chance, I really love to hunt western Wisconsin, southwestern. I think that's the best destination in Wisconsin. There's some really good hunting over there. You know, some of the areas, 1 out of 4 deer have CWD, though, when you shoot an adult buck. But if you can get over that fact, there's some good bucks over there. I love hunting the hills in western Wisconsin, and just wanted to take a trip up there. It's a little bit early. I really like hunting there, you know, around mid-October on. Up until late season, then late season I don't go back. But I wanted to take a trip up there, and I knew Tim was hunting up there, and I wanted to meet up with him and just hunt a day with him. I wanted to get out at least one day up there with him. So me and Rick headed that way. We're heading to the hills. Gonna hunt some hill country today, just to get a break. I've been missing the hills, having withdrawals, so we're heading to western Wisconsin. Tim's in the vehicle behind me back there. I don't know if you can see him. And I got Rick here beside me. And I've got 2 places in mind. One, with this wind, I think could only fit 1 person. Look at the size of that deer. Holy cow. Wow. We're stopping here. We gotta stop at this place. Carol wants some candy. She said if I come up here I have to stop at this place. Right here.
Candy,
and get candy. Look at how crowded it is.
Well, it's the time of the year.
Holy cow, look at there's a flying pig.
How'd they get you up there?
I had a destination in mind. A little cornfield that every other year it's corn. It's on public. It's a real small area. It can only hold 1 guy, and it's got to have the right wind. The normal wind blows right into the bedding. It's just a tree line on the back of a cornfield. And out of the few times I've hunted that, when I have it right, when I have corn and I have the right wind, I've had some really good interactions with big bucks. I have yet to take one out of there, but just about every time the conditions are right, I have a big buck come through. So the trouble is that it can only hold 1 spot, and we're going to a place that's unfamiliar to Rick or Tim. So I knew I had to go into the big wooded, hilly section with one of the guys, or they'd be lost. Show them where to go, kind of thing. Not that I got to hold their hands, but that just saying go that way probably wouldn't do them any good. So I wanted to hunt into the hills, and I was going to let one of these guys have a really good deal hunting this cornfield. And we're going to kill something on film. I'm sure of it. This cornfield's full of deer, and even if a big buck didn't show, everybody had a doe tag and wanted to shoot a doe. And you can get that done real quick when you get in there and wait for a buck. Well, we got there, and the sign was phenomenal. I mean, there wasn't a lot of huge buck sign, but it usually isn't there this early. There was some rubs, you know, some big tracks. I know the bucks were there, but they're not yet laying down that sign heavy like they do mid-October. So we went in there and scouted, and we found where all those deer are coming out. And there's 1 tree with the right wind the guy could sit. And I thought, oh, these guys are going to love this. And they're going to fight over who gets to sit there. So we're sneaking in to look at one little tiny public piece Maybe it can hold one of us, but it's usually a pretty good spot, so one of us probably should sit here if it looks good. You got Rick here playing with milkweed, and Tim. So, let's see what we see. The trail coming in here is pretty heavy with deer sign, no human sign. But there's deer trails going through here like crazy. I'm sure they're bedding right in here behind this church. Here's a rub right here.
And this is beat.
Yeah, I know. I saw it.
Historical, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of old rubs. Look at the corn in there. Can you see that? This whole center is just plowed down. And there's deer tracks everywhere here and feces, and all the sign looks really fresh. We're getting right on top of the deer though, because this just dumps down into the bedding area, from what I remember here. It's just pummeled with tracks. Okay, so this cornfield has a tree line that comes to here, tree line that comes to here. This little tiny quarter-acre of trees dumps into the grass and stuff where the deer are bedded. They could be bedded over there, they could be bedded over there. I saw a heavy trail comes out over here. There's definitely a heavy one right underneath those trees, and they come into the corn here, probably from that corner a lot. I'm thinking this is the tree right here. Shoot down into there. There's enough room on this property for one guy to get up in here. And I don't think we should go any further. I think if somebody wants to sit, this is where they sit. I don't think anybody's been back here. So I turn around and I'm like, okay guys, Rick, Tim, which one of you guys wants to hunt here? And they're both kind of looking around at each other, waiting for the other one to say, I wanna. And Tim wasn't even making eye contact. He's looking around like this, and I'm like, you guys don't want to hunt here? And Rick's like, I want to go where you go. And Tim's like, yeah, this ain't my cup of tea. And I kind of thought that was weird. And you know, once you're in there, you want to hunt it. You know, and I hate to back out. And I'd love to have been the one hunting there. But I didn't really want to let those guys crash and burn on the public by themselves. So we turned around and we went to the hilly section. And Tim told me his reason for not wanting to hunt that spot, and it made total sense. He said, Dan, I know I could sit in there and kill a deer. That's a great spot, but I don't want you to hold my hand. I don't want you to point out a spot. I want to go in there and to myself and to my goals prove I can do it. So I just want, you know, point at an area, and I want to go in there and figure it out and hunt them down. And I had to take a step back and think, well, hell, that's the same answer I would have given. I would have thought the same thing Tim is thinking. And it's funny because Tim gave an analogy that was perfect. He said he watched Jurassic Park, and during the show, they wanted to have the viewers see the T-Rex in action. So they tied a goat on a rope in plain view of where everybody'd be watching. And T-Rex never came to eat it. And the scientist says, well, that's because T-Rex doesn't want to eat. He wants to hunt. Well, Tim wanted to hunt. I get that. And a lot of times, I'm used to it because of the type of people that hang around. I mean, not many people are like us. The ones that are hardcore hunters, they're few and far between. Most people, you know, want that goat on a rope. They want it handed to them. They don't want to work for it. I think we got a new term here, goat on a rope. Speaking of the easy spots, I like that. Once again, waiting for the slow pokes.
You got a head start on that.
All you need is a t-shirt, a stand, and sticks. And a camera, armored camera.
I like to be safe. You like my fanny pack?
Why, what about it?
So I carry all my gear.
Gear, I carry mine in my pocket. I do like your Venato flannel shirt.
Yeah.
It's like mine. I got the green one, you got the gray one.
Yeah.
I like the gray one better. I think my green one is tipping deer off. I've been getting seen in it, so I've been putting lighter camo over the top of it. But the gray, I didn't have that. I think I'm too dark in some of the areas I'm hunting. But these things are sure warm.
Yeah, they're nice.
Rick's wearing faded camo that if you put that under a blue light, I bet you it would glow. It looks almost white.
I got something to put on over it.
Okay, all right.
It's the old set rock when I was drinking the Kool-Aid.
I think you should have sat over that cornfield. I think it's going to fill up with deer tonight.
Take me back. I'll go.
I'm not driving back over there now.
What the hell good are you?
Hey, go up in the front of the truck and fetch me a Coke.
Oh, it's just let me take the truck. I ain't carrying it.
Why not?
The old man is taking a break already.
Yeah, we're 100 feet.
What's wrong with you, Dan? Fetch me a soda, would you?
He's gonna hunt by the parking
I
lot.
got a really good spot for you.
I'll find my own spot.
So, when we go back here, this is a valley. It's gonna, the valley goes up here and dead ends. And it's got ridges and points on both sides. And your bit with this wind, will be bedding over the ridge on the other side. They'll be bedding on this side. And they'll pretty much be everywhere in here at this wind. What we gotta do is get in here and just find some sign. And then split up and cover different coordinates of this area. It's a really big area, but I think that if we each take a section, we should do pretty good. What do you think about the pressure?
I didn't see anything. I mean,
It doesn't look like anybody ever parked in that parking spot.
no,
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah, there's a guy that's up the road, but
Yeah, right here, there's like 400 acres that hardly gets hunted. You might see a guy in here during rut. Otherwise, you never see anybody here. And there's good hunting. Border's a good private land that's managed for deer. But with the CWD killing and stuff, the population is real low. But you have the tendency to see some better bucks here. That's why I kind of like it. So.
better management.
Yeah. So we're standing in this big valley here. And I know there's some bedding over the hill here that has some good movement here from past experience. And Rick said he'd like to try that out, so he's going to go up here. And there's a rock cropping on the top, Rick, and they tend to drop to this side of the rock outcropping and work their way down. But you should be able to see the trails real well. If you go too far, if you get past that point coming out over there, there's a bunch of bedding over there that you'll kick out of here.
Okay.
So,
Got it.
all right, good luck. Think he has a chance?
50-50.
Beautiful country, eh?
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. Kicks my rear end walking up these hills, though.
That's why I'm following you. So I'm gonna drag your ass out.
You're supposed to bring a sled and drag my ass up. Gotta catch my breath. Sitting down on a log, we're almost to the top now. It's a long way up here. Tim, what I'm thinking is when we get up to this top, you see that ridge up there? If you follow it that way, there's a logging road. About 300 yards that way. It narrows down to a small ridge that drops straight off on both sides. And the deer are either coming out of that. And I'm going to hunt where all these logging roads join up. There's a bed in there that's going to be right in between us, right up here. Little trick when you're setting up your sticks. The height of the step should be knee high. That's how high a person has to stride to step. So that's what'll get you the maximum height without straining yourself. One knee between steps. Okay, I chose this little skinny tree here. I'm up 5 sticks just to get over the top of the canopy here so I can shoot over this stuff. There's a logging trail right there that comes up, and a heavy trail coming in and joining from down there. Logging trail coming from there, and this logging trail coming from here. And you can see the worn trails in the logging trail. I don't know if you can see it, but that tree there has a pretty big rub on it, pretty high up. But it's not quite cut through the bark. It's just making the bark a little red. I found a couple of trees up in there just busted off and rubbed to the point it broke. You can't see a lot of sign, but obviously something's going on here. Everything meets here. There are some white oaks right across from me that have a couple acorns on the ground. A lot more acorns here than back home. So we'll see what happens. Tim is hunting over the hill from me, about 600-700 yards away. Rick is hunting an eighth of a mile that way, over a valley. Sure looks nice out here today. Overcast, calm, drizzly. Hopefully something comes walking through. I was looking at this dead tree in front of me with no limbs on it. And I started looking and I noticed it's bigger at the top than it is at the bottom. And I don't see the broken off piece laying around anywhere. Then I look up and it literally is broken off of this big dead tree and fell down like a spear and stuck in the ground. That's a limb, not a tree. And that's bigger around than the tree I'm in. So we got bedding up there and a trail coming down from the bedding right here and going through. We got bedding up here, but this is mostly doe bedding. That one's buck bedding. And then we got buck bedding back here. And it comes out and wraps around this bowl and comes out right here. Joins in and forks up. And we have another trail that skirts straight across and comes right through here. And then goes up the hill there, goes that way and goes that way. I'm a little farther from bedding than I'd like to be. But in this open terrain in hill country with the eyes looking down the hills, I don't think I can get much closer than this. And I'm going to have thermal problems anywhere else. Right here I can drop my thermal down the hill. And everything meets up here. So hopefully they get this far. So if you're wondering why I chose this spot and not over there, because there's some better trees over there. But the wind is blowing this way, and I'm expecting movement to come from that way. But the hill drops straight off down behind me here. And from this position, in this calmness, I can get my thermal to drop down there as it gets darker out when deer are starting to move. And if I were up there, the wind going that way would turn and start dropping right down these trails that the bucks are coming in on. The thermal current follows the ground and the terrain just keeps going down, so it would flow like water right down the deer trails. So I need to be on this side of these trails so that my thermal goes down there. Almost no wind current. If we get the seat off, there we go. When I got up to my area, there was a pretty good, well-used scrape already. It was worked into the ground with a lot of fresh tracks in it. There were a couple of really good broken off rubs and one real big high rub. I was a little far away from bedding for a non-rut hunt. I mean, they had to go like 125, 200 yards and I didn't even see a doe. I didn't see nothing, and it felt like a really good night, so I was surprised. But early season acorns on the ground, they don't move far. That's what happens. How'd you do, Rick?
Well, I went up to that stone cluster you were talking about, and just south of there were the tracks and the trails, and I even saw a couple of nice beds on a couple of shelves, but I didn't see anything.
Sign was good though, right?
Yeah, it was good.
How about you, Tim? I think you had the most action, right?
I had something. So I took the south way and really ended up in a like a pinch point, like a funnel. And basically, when I was breaking down, I heard some steps, and then it trotted off, and then it was probably a small deer, but I heard some coyotes too. The coyotes were like, I don't know, 200 yards, and they were yipping from ridge to ridge. It was pretty
Yeah.
neat.
I couldn't hear them where I'm at. It's funny how the sound goes through those hills.
I know. Yeah, I heard them clear as day. So one of them was really close.
Yeah, I had some turkeys by me too at one point.
I had a big raccoon come in at closing.
Nice.
You probably wanted a marshmallow. I give them marshmallows; they come right over. You would have went up there and hugged with you and kept you warm.
I did get chilly.
All right, so long trip for nothing.
Yeah.
It was fun.
But we learned a few things. My spot looks like it's really going to heat up towards rut. I mean, there's a lot of sign there if it's just left alone. So
Yeah. In the future, I would have went further, where it broke open a little bit on the flat, where you could see the 2 points that were jutting out to the south. I wish I would have went further, but first time.
I guess what I thought was I would have know what I know now. I'd push the limits if I was going to be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'd go hunt a lot closer to the bedding.
Yeah, I would have pushed further had I known where I was going in there, and I could pull up the map.
I think even Rick, I think it was too far from the bedding today.
Yeah.
We played it cautious, and thought they'd move further. I mean, it was a rainy day. It was overcast.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was just about to get dark 2 hours before dark. So I expected movement, and it just didn't happen.
Yep. That's hunting.
Yeah. It's amazing to me that 3 guys could cover that area so well, and not one of us even see a doe. It speaks volumes to that they don't move far when acorns on the ground in hill country. They can get up and eat the acorns right in their bedding area. They don't have to move. It's so hard to kill them. I mean, the sign was there. There's deer there. Lots of deer. You could see the sign. Not a one of us seen a deer. That's 3 people, 3 sits, perfect weather, not one deer seen. The perfect spot would have been that cornfield where there wasn't an oak tree in sight and all the sign was there. That would have been the spot to sit. I might have to take another trip up there. The hunting's gotten really slow around me, and I'm just kind of thinking I got to create something. I got to make something happen. And in my heyday when I was younger, I killed all those big bucks by being real aggressive with scouting. Getting out there and really getting on to scouting. And recent years, maybe I've been a little lazy about it because I've started depending on those goat on a rope type spots where I know if I wait for the right time and I go in there, I'll kill a deer. And in past years, I've had the Conservancy to fall on, and I didn't want that goat on a rope. So I started just not going to those spots that were really good and hitting the Conservancy and diving into the swamps and stuff and actually hunting deer rather than killing the goat on a rope. But this year I decided to not hunt the Conservancy. And I just dropped out of that and decided to concentrate more on public for personal reasons. And I couldn't get on deer real quick, and I'm seeing this, the pressure is so heavy around here with guys that now know what they're doing. It ain't the old school public land guys that had no clue. It used to be a guy hunted public because he was just starting out, because he didn't know what he was doing, and you'd see these guys set up in the worst spots. But now I'm starting to see guys with more skill, guys knowing where to go, guys choosing public over private, not wanting to go down the rope. So I fell back into going to some of my go down the rope spots and wanting to get some action. And guess what? They're not working out. People have gotten in those spots, things have changed, and I'm going to need to hunt a little bit. So that means I have to get back into my old ways of scouting hard. So while I was studying a map of one of the places I've been targeting deer, I noticed that there was some public adjacent to it, across the expressway. A little tiny patch, like 10, 15 acres, narrow strip, and I thought, you know what? I could see deer hiding in that. That's a pretty good looking piece of brush there. So I dressed up like a hiker, went up the trail, and checked it out. I had to decide today whether to run back up to western Wisconsin or to get a little scouting in and then go hunting around here. And I decided to scout and get in somewhere around here. Right now I'm scouting a piece that I found studying maps. This little piece of public that I don't think anybody knows about much. And you have to access it on a bicycle trail, which you have to have your weapon cased for that. It's a pretty small area, right up against the expressway over there, as you can hear the traffic. But there is definitely deer sign in here. I saw a rub from the trail up there. And right across the trail is private cornfields. So a good chance something's holding up in here. So I'm gonna follow some of these trails back and see where they go. It's pretty obvious that nobody hunts this little spot here. There's no sign of hunters or humans back here anywhere. And there's big buck tracks. Looking at the maps, when I look across the street, the terrain across the street doesn't look like it would hold them, but this does. I'm probably right on top of them, may have spooked them already. There's no place to set up where I'm at, so I have to go backwards, which means I have to cut my losses and look for a setup back there and wait a little bit. There's a whole bunch of historical rut sign here, and there's just a little bit starting now. There's no new rubs, but everything in here has rubs from past, telling me a couple more weeks this is going to be on fire if I just leave it alone. There are tunnels back here. I mean, you look at this thick stuff here. The deer have tunnels for trails. And all along it you can see historical rubs and high ones. They get tunnels here, tunnels here. So it all kind of comes together here and then goes out the way I came in. So I think what I got to do is look for the first tree back there that I can sit in and cover this, mark it, and then just leave this alone and hope I didn't do too much damage. I don't know what to think of it. It might be a killer new spot, and it might just be nighttime stuff and they're crossing roads someplace, but God, I have to think they're in here. I have to think so. All that sign was back there. The scrapes are right there and there. One main trail comes up here and one goes through over there. So I pretty much in this opening have to sit there or up in here, probably there, because I have to be able to cover that trail and this one, which means I have to have a wind going like that or like that. Oh, 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 look at that rub. Holy cow. That's a fresh one. That's the one that left those tracks, I'm sure. Look at that. And here's another scrape getting started. But that rub is huge. Look at how high that is. Wow. My waist is right here. This would be right there is the start of my rib cage. That is pretty high. That is awesome. The road's right there. There's a hiking trail right there. It'd be amazing to pull it off in this spot, but the damage I did today, I might have kicked him out of here, but hopefully Not for long. Hopefully he thinks this is a safe spot and he stays here. There's obviously something big here. We're gonna have to start narrowing in on this spot. I don't know how I'm gonna hunt this, so there ain't much for cover. And I don't think I can wait too long because if those leaves fall off, I got nowhere to hide in here. I would literally have to go off the ground, and I don't like the idea of that, especially with this high grass cover. I'm on the same property a little further back. We're starting to narrow down even smaller and across the river. And look at these heavy trails. I mean, they're just beat with fresh tracks. Going in here, and there's another trail going up there. More going this way, there's a horizontal trail up there. Bicycles driving past. All these stinging nettles are chewed down to nothing. This is looking pretty good, but pretty small. I mean, again, I can see a lot of historical rubs, no fresh ones. Historical rubs everywhere along these trails. I think this whole area is going to be on fire in a couple of weeks. Wow. And look at that jungle. That is thick stuff. That might be where they're all holing up. A lot of big tracks in here and a lot of tracks, period. It's looking pretty good. Now here's a really heavy trail here. Wow, look at that. If there was a spot to set up in here, you would have 15 different heavy trails right in front of you. I mean, there's trees, but with all this buckthorn, you couldn't really set up. You probably have to be up on the hill. Get them coming out of here. Man, this trail here is just beat. Look at this one. Oh, look at the size of that track. Holy crap. Holy crap. So this probably deserves a sit too. Yeah, there he is again. Yeah, those are fresh. Nice. So this is the kind of area where I'd want to be set up. Here's where it unions into the main drag right here. I bet you this gets ran like crazy during the rut. There's a tree I could work with right here. That ain't bad. Here's the trail comes in from over there. We've got that's got to be bedding. Look how thick that is. So we got that trail here. Yeah. Only trouble is I think some of those other deer might come out here and either go across or go that way based on the food sources. But this is a good starting point, and I could observe this whole area. And this is where the big one seems to be coming out. Let me get this spot marked on my phone. Another crooked ass tree I'd have a hell of a time putting a stand in, but that's what I got to work with. Look at the browsing in here. This is amazing. These stinging nettles are eaten almost to the ground. There's a lot of deer hiding in this little spot that nobody even knows about. No human sign anywhere. And look at these giant tracks. Man, it is a tangle back here. But the best part is, even just coming back here scouting, you come back with lunch. Woohoo, puffball. And I see a sizable one up there. If they're any good, I can see that one's bad already. It's turning green. That's a good one. It's nice and firm. You can tell by how firm they are. And then when you cut into them, they got to be snow white on the inside. Any more around here? Just that one big one over there, I think. We'll get that one. Nope, that one ain't no good. That one you can see a little bit green starting in the little wounds that would feel soft if I felt it. This one's big enough. I'm pretty sure I can go back into that spot and with the 2 trees I picked out, get a good crack at a good buck if I'm patient about waiting for the right timing. But in the back of my mind, I think, are they coming from across the road, crossing the highway? Are they in there at night? But everything's laid out for them living there right now, and I believe I'm correct on that. I believe they're living right there. And I think I could have killed one the day I scouted had I not gotten into areas too far forward where I couldn't hunt. And I think the smart move was to move out rather than really impact them hard. I'd have to imagine every now and then somebody's dog runs off the hiking trail, runs out of the park, runs out of one of the backyards and goes through there. People walk in there every now and then. Just get out. I didn't do a huge impact. Get out, let it settle down, and come back. I really don't like the idea of going in there and then coming back, but I don't think I have much for choices. But it looks at a sign in there, I would say the sign was just starting to pick up, just starting to show good buck sign. Hey, maybe I'm right and they're in there, maybe I'm wrong and they're across the street, but I think I'm right. And by the looks of the sign, there was so much historical rubbing, and the new rubs were just starting, that I have to think mid-late October, that place is on fire. So I did check another property out. It's kind of like a park. It's got play areas, bicycle paths, backyards, kind of thing. And that was a little strange. It's a real small area, but they just opened it up last year. And I did go in there at the end of the last year and just scouted a little tiny section of it and was going to come back in and hunt and never did. And now I went back and I was going to go to that spot but didn't make it there before I hit good sign that I wanted to set up on. I'm coming into a spot. I'm scouting a lot of fresh sign, a lot of fresh sign. This is a new public property opened late last year. Lots of deer tracks, holy cow. I scouted it last year and never ended up hunting it, but it looked really good. So I want to check it out now. These trails are pretty deep. Oh, there's a boot print though. So somebody's been back here. So it concerns me, I saw a boot print here, but I do got a heavy trail going through here, a heavy trail going through there, another heavy trail there, another one coming right down through here, and that tree looks good. And I know last time I was in here in winter, there was a real heavy buck trail right on the other side of that tree. So if I get that tree, the wind's kind of wrong, it's kind of coming this way, but I think a thermal's going to drop right down into that valley. So that's a possibility right there. This could work. It's amazing the deer walking around in here. You just walk right up to them. That's within easy bow range right there. Today I'm hunting in a suburban area, right in a city. It's a little bit of a park. It's got paved hiking and bicycle trails through here. They just opened it last year at the end of the year, and there's a lot of deer in here. There are a lot of people too, and a lot of nature lovers. I mean, just me walking down the bicycle trail, wearing just regular clothes. You can see these preppy girls on bicycles turn around when they see me and leave like they think I'm dangerous. today's climate, understandably so. But I heard from somebody in law enforcement that somebody hauled a big buck out of here last week. And I could see somebody's parked in the parking spot, but not much. Not as much pressure as you'd think. I got in here, I found a spot where all these trails converge. It's really awesome looking. I am only 200 yards from the truck, maybe 300-400 yards, but I'm really close to the truck. Took the bicycle trail in here with my bow cased, and I walked within shooting range of 4 deer to get to this tree. I could have shot them, but I'm not going to shoot a deer just walking in here. It's got to at least come by my stand. I mean, let's make it a little fair, right? Yeah, I can hear people calling their dogs over here. I'm literally right in somebody's backyard, but I'm within the map boundaries of where I can hunt. If a doe comes by, I might shoot a doe tonight. I'm just getting a feel for this property. I'm just in a high traffic area where it looks like bedding. I think I might need to get further back to get into the bucks, but this is a good starting point. Ran out here after work, didn't have a lot of time, just barely got set up in time. We'll see what happens. A half dozen kids came walking back here. They drove their bikes through the brush, parked them 20 yards from me, got off their bikes, walked through all the brush over here, and back to where I thought it's probably bedding. And they're back there bussing through the brush right now, talking real loud. I can't win. Maybe they'll kick one past me. That's suburban hunting, you know. Might have a lot of deer, but you gotta get to where people don't go, where they don't play. They surprise you. These kids are so blind, they walked right underneath me, don't even know I'm here. Well, when the kids left, I got down and left. They were underneath me for a half an hour. They walked every way around me. I have to think to some degree those deer are somewhat used to them. When they left, I got down. They never knew I was there. I walked over to where they had their bicycles sitting, and they got a fork there. So they go down there all the time, but yet there's fresh deer sign everywhere. I'm sure with all the people playing in that park, and the kids and hikers and joggers and bicyclists and everything else, those deer are just used to the human scent and moving around people. I mean, look at my walk in there. I could have shot 4 deer, but I didn't want the goat on a rope, right? I thought for sure one would walk by my stand, but instead I had 6 kids or walking around singing, right? I got down with enough daylight to come out a little funny and scout a little bit, ran into a trail camera, and when I got up to the parking spot, there was another truck there. It's a pretty small area, but there's a lot of sign there. I think it needs to be revisited before it gets pounded by other people, and before the deer get wise. As you can see by those kids, even the park setting with deer you can walk up on, it's not always the goat on the rope. sometimes you got to get out there and hunt. It's kind of funny, but I got to get into spots there where I'm avoiding people, get into the, across water and stuff. I think that's where deer will feel a little more at ease, especially big bucks. Hope you liked the show, and put a comment underneath. There's nothing wrong with either way, but I'm wondering if you people would rather have, personally for yourself, the goat on the rope handed to you, or you'd rather work for it. Got me another one.